Hey everyone, happy Friday. Hope you've got great weekend plans. I am outside while my kids are playing in the driveway with the water hose, and the dogs are barking because the UPS truck went by, so at least no one's mowing. I'm addressing Chapter 9, Question 6, 3 causes of why people become terrorists, or that lead people to possibly become terrorists, and which one I believe is the most probable. First of all, discovering the motivation behind why people choose to engage in terrorism is crucial if we're going to effectively mitigate terrorism domestically and internationally. Again, the text alludes to the problem of defining terrorism, and a corollary to that then is the problem of truly understanding why people would choose to end their life or commit a terrorist act against innocent non-combatants. The text alludes to the challenge that we face of identifying with terrorists because, generally speaking, the population cannot understand even any motivation for committing such atrocious acts. And as I was reading the text, it reminded me of sometimes when we talk about the difference, or not the difference, but trying to understand why a man would cheat on his wife, or why someone would embezzle funds and leave people without their prospects for the future economically. They're taking their savings. It's sinful nature, and I don't think we can begin to measure the level of output of sinful nature. And I think that sometimes in our attempts to imagine it from our own perspective, we will fall short. One of the reasons intelligence has a hard time keeping up with terrorist activity when that level of planning and that level of sin is involved. So I think that that's relevant here as well. Okay, the three causes, according to Snow, are either societal, psychological, or political, or intertwined together, because all three of them seem to contribute to one another. Social conditions certainly can include things like unemployment, a failed society, which of course is usually a result of a political failure, intense poverty with just an inability to even climb out of that, where there may be a class structure and you have no hope for increasing your personal prospects and livelihood. Population bulge is certainly an issue there. Snow lists that later, but when the population bulge in the Middle East, we see an increasing chance of terrorist activity because we're going to have so many youth with no prospects for employment. That's a huge issue right now. Snow quotes someone else as a measure for combating that area, which is draining the swamp. Flooding with developmental aid, and he also addresses aspirational deprivation, which I think is crucial, and of course could also has a psychological effect that they're not able to aspire to anything because there's nowhere else to go or means to get there. Psychologically, this is regarding failed persons, not failed societies or failed political systems. This is related indeed to societal conditions because societal conditions can promote a sense of helplessness or hopelessness, especially in job prospects, which then can affect, will I ever be able to get married and sustain a family? What does my future look like? Without that promise of a future or hope of a future, certainly people would be inclined to go toward a terrorist group that would promise a salvation of sorts from societal and psychological deprivation. Politically, a failed government that suffers extreme ineptitude and ineffectiveness to provide for its people, to protect its people, or becomes a safe haven for terrorists because it's unable to deter infiltration by terrorist organizations, would certainly be a political cause. The three of these, again, are related. I think it's almost impossible to separate them unless you have this lone individual who has decided, maybe like a Timothy McVeigh. Still, again, all kinds of reasons for his behavior, but we don't seem to be targeting him on all three of these, maybe just a psychological cause. So that's my answer, and thank you so much, and look forward to checking you guys out in the post.